Okay, we're going to talk about Tom Torrero today, my friend who recently passed away, and this is not going to be like my typical videos. I do have a general outline that I will follow, but I may not end up following it. It was actually a little difficult to determine what to say in this video and what to keep private, and the reason for that is one of my rules is that I don't talk about things publicly that were said in confidence, that were said in private between two people. So I had to figure out, what would Tom be okay with me saying publicly and what would he maybe not be okay with, or other people who knew Tom or the two of us. So it was difficult to kind of map out what to say in this video and what not to say, but I think I've got it down. Some parts of this video, and you'll see why in a few minutes, are going to be a little difficult for me to talk about. So, it's interesting. Negative emotions are not something I have a lot of experience with. Okay. At least not in the last, 15, 20 years. And as I've talked about in Alpha Male 2.0, and I realize this is a Sovereign CEO video, that was another thing too. I had to figure out what channel to put this video on because it probably more relates to Alpha Male 2.0 than Sovereign CEO. But if I put on Alpha Male 2.0, a lot less people would see it and there'd be a lot less impressions. And this is a pretty important topic, so I decided to put this as Sovereign CEO. But anyway, in terms of Alpha Male 2.0, we talk about long-term masculine happiness, long-term consistent masculine happiness. And I say in my books and in my content, no matter how good you are being happy, things can happen occasionally that will make you unhappy. The example I use, if your mom dies, you're going to have a rough week. You're probably gonna have a rough month. It doesn't matter how happy you are. Now, the good news is, how often does a loved one die? How often does one of your friends die? Very rare, if ever. So, but this is one of those scenarios. You will find out in a little bit. There are some things I'm going to reveal to you in this video that no one else knows about Tom. As far as I know, things that only Tom and I knew. Unless Tom confided in other people about these things, which is, I guess, is possible, but I doubt it. And it puts a new context on his death. Yeah, so that'll be in a few minutes. I will also address the issue of how certain people in certain audiences, including my audience, get upset when people like me do not post video or pictures or audio of women we've had sex with. I've addressed these in the past, and now these guys have a picture-perfect example, maybe, of what happens when you do that, and maybe you have a better understanding about why I have not done that. Lastly, I will talk about what we can learn from all this, because I know for a fact if Tom was here, or if his ghost was sitting next to me, he would want us and he would want you to learn something from this and to take away something of value from this. And I know that because that's the kind of guy Tom was. Tom was an amazing guy. He was a super impressive guy. He was a uniquely kind person. Many of you are in my audience today because of Tom. Many of you, and vice versa. I know some of you are aware of Tom because of me. So that's the kind of guy he was. He was a giving type of guy. One of the tragic things about this is that whether or not you agreed with what Tom did or how he lived his life, the two main things that I've talked about in terms of the standards I have for my life: don't lie, don't do anything illegal. That's it. Don't lie and don't do anything illegal. And Tom never lied to anyone and never did anything illegal, not once. Even in that Newsweek article, which we will address in this video, even in that article, that person, that feminist who wrote the article, could not prove and could not state that he lied to anyone or broke the law. As a matter of fact, toward the end of that article, she kind of laments, oh, damn, nothing he did was illegal in the places where he did it. Right. Because Tom was a good guy. He had ethics and morals. I like to think I had those too. Don't lie, don't break the law, and he never did either one of those things. As a matter of fact, in that Newsweek article, if you look at the comments, and I haven't looked at it in a few days, you'll mostly get positive comments, including women that Tom hit on who said he was a perfect gentleman and he was a really nice guy and he brightened my day. Yeah, I know there are many of you who had crippling social anxiety or, a great amount of fear talking to women or talking to people. And Tom helped you get over that, didn't he? He helped thousands and thousands and thousands of men. He made the world a better place. He was a good guy. far better than most people, in my opinion. I mean, he would go out of his way to do nice things for people in ways that other normal people, myself included, wouldn't do. I could give you numerous examples. Here's an easy one. About 2 or 3 years ago, a certain individual who doesn't like me wrote a hit piece on me. And this is someone that Tom knew. And as usual, I don't mind. Whenever I get a hater with an audience who attacks me, I make more money. As a matter of fact, when this person did that, he wrote an article about me. I poked him a little bit. He wrote a second article about me, which is what I wanted him to do. And he wrote the second article about me, bashing me and telling everyone that I'm a liar and no one should buy my stuff. We had literally a record-breaking week of ebook sales. We sold something like, I forget the exact number, $8,000 in ebooks in that 1 week because of the publicity I got from this person who didn't like me. And that's what happens. This is kind of a little off topic for this video, but haters are important to your business model. Haters make you money. And we literally had a record-breaking week because of this. So I didn't mind at all. But Tom didn't know any of that backstory. And so Tom seeked me out, and him and I were friends. And he apologized for this person. He basically said, hey, I'm really sorry this person said these things. And he kind of gave me some backstory on this person and some reasons. I won't get into those things. But anyway, that's the kind of guy Tom was. He didn't need to do that. No one asked him to do that. He just did this completely of his own volition because Tom was a good, honest, nice, decent, moral guy who cared about people, who really wanted to help people. He had a good heart. He was a fantastic person. That's why this sucks so bad that he's not here anymore. Of all the people that I know of in the pickup artist / red pill world, of all the people to do this, I mean, he would be probably the last guy on the list that I would want to pass away in any way, regardless of how he passed away. Moreover, Tom was a great guy to learn from in terms of dating and game. And I've said this for many years. Do you want to get dating advice from a ripped guy who has ripped six-pack abs? Do you want to get dating advice from a guy who's really, really, really good looking? I don't, and I never did. Back in the day when I started this world, back in 2007, whenever I saw a really good looking guy give dating advice, and there were some PUAs, pickup artists, people like that, who were really good looking, I would kind of blow them off because I'm like, well, that doesn't help me. I'm not a super good looking guy. And I would specifically look for guys back then who were overweight or ugly or really short. I'm not short, but things like there was a guy back then named Johnny Saporno, who was a short, ugly, chubby guy. And he would give dating advice. And I'm like, okay, this is my guy. I want to listen to this guy. So Tom said this multiple times. He said this over and over again, how you want to take advice from a guy who looked like Tom, who looked like a normal everyday guy who was not good looking. So yeah, I mean, that's the kind of guy you want to learn from. You don't want to learn from super good looking guys. So Tom not only had the perfect look for the perfect ideal day game teacher, but he had the morals and ethics, and he actually gave a shit about his audience and the people who learned from him. So that's just me giving a little eulogy about Tom. I'm a fantastic guy, and this really bothers me. Anyway, so he never lied to anyone. He never did anything wrong. He never broke the law, but that doesn't mean he was perfect. And so he did some things in his business that I wouldn't have done. And they were not wrong things. They were just things that were risky in the modern era in which we live, where we live in a left-wing, litigious, female-centric, collapsing civilization. And there are certain things you don't want to do when you live in a civilization like that, whereas perhaps you could have gotten away with these things had the culture been a little different. One of the things he did that got him in trouble was that he had apparently audios of women that he recorded without their permission, which was not illegal where he did it. He didn't break any laws. And he included those as part of some of the products that he sold. I would not have done that. Not that I don't think it would be a good business decision. It probably was a good business decision. The problem is of the risks involved. And later in this video, I'm going to discuss why I have refused to do certain things, even though certain people in the audience are upset that I don't do these things, because I want to avoid the very problems that Tom encountered, the legal problems, the negative backlash, and things of that nature. We live in an era where you have to be very, 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 very careful if you teach anything regarding dating advice to men. You can't just kind of do whatever you want. You have to be careful. Talk more about that in a little bit. Now, we've got to get to the issue of what I see people saying on the internet about this. And this is a real problem, and there's no solution to this problem, but I'm going to do my best to educate you on the problem so that maybe if this ever happens again, or when this happens again, you can be a little more methodical and a little more objective, at least some of you, in terms of what you say publicly. And that is primarily the difference between probably and is. Is facts. Facts that you have verified. Probably is guesswork. Things you are guessing based on rumors you have heard on the internet. There is a difference between probably and is. I only exist in the world of is. Those of you who know my content, you already know this. I only exist in a world where I discuss facts, not suppositions, not guesses, not hypotheses, not emotions, not wishes, but facts. And if something isn't a fact that can be verified as a fact, I usually don't comment on it. I don't like to speculate. And so, especially if I say something emphatically. And the problem is, over the last few weeks, I have seen nonstop men on the internet saying things as if they know for a fact they are true, as if these people know for a fact what was said in private conversations behind closed doors, as if they know for a fact what people were thinking at certain points in times. And you can't do that unless it is a verified fact. Case in point, how Tom passed away. Most people are saying that he ended his own life. I can't say the actual words starting with the letter S because YouTube is an American company and America hates free speech. But that is the narrative right now, that he ended his own life. You don't know that. I'm sorry, you don't know that for a fact. Now, maybe he did. Matter of fact, probably he did. But you don't know. So to run around like a maniac, screaming and ranting in your anger about, I can't believe he did this, I can't believe Tom ended his own life because of X, Y, and Z, you don't know. You don't know if he ended his own life. I will assume that he ended his own life when I hear it from his family. The only thing that I know his family has confirmed is that he indeed passed away. So that's why I can make a video right now, talk about how he has passed away. But I'm not going to sit here and talk about him ending his own life because I don't know for a fact if that has occurred. By the way, I'm recording this video on January 6th at 3 p.m. EST or so, 2022. And as of this moment, no one has confirmed factually that he has ended his own life. So now again, maybe he did. And I tend to lean in the direction of saying that he probably did. But you don't know, and I don't know. Therefore, you can't run around assuming that is a fact when you don't know. You need to exist in the world of reality and verifiable facts. Not anger, not reaction, and not emotion. That will get you in trouble every time. Extending that, you have a lot of guys saying that he not only ended his life, but he ended his life because of the specific Newsweek article that was written in November, written by a feminist, written by a, typical left-winger in the news industry. And people are saying, I can't believe, oh great, this woman killed Tom Torrero, and Tom Torrero ended his life because of this woman. You don't know. How do you know, even if he did end his own life, how do you know for a fact that was the reason? Were there other reasons? Were there other extenuating circumstances? Was there drug use or alcohol use? I don't think so. Tom wasn't into that stuff. But again, I don't know, and you don't know. So to get all worked up and assume that someone wrote an article and then Tom ended his own life, you don't know if that's the case. Now, again, maybe that did happen. I'm not saying it didn't happen. And hear me very clearly. I'm not saying that didn't happen. Matter of fact, I lean in the direction of thinking it probably did happen, and that probably was a strong contributor to why he did it, if he indeed ended his own life. So I'm not disagreeing with you and saying you're wrong. I'm saying you don't know. And you don't want to go around spouting off stupid shit on the internet, emotional, angry shit, when you don't know. When I hear from his family or his best friend, when I hear from them that he indeed ended his own life and he indeed did that because of the stress caused by the Newsweek article and things of that nature, then fine, I will be on your side and say, yes, that's what happened. But until then, I'm not going to assume things I don't know for sure. Now, it is true, and I mentioned this on the prior video I did regarding Tom, that yes, The negative press that he has been receiving over the past several years was a great source of concern for him and a great source of stress for him. I can tell you that for a fact. We had conversations regarding exactly that. And so, yes, that is a fact. I do know that for a fact, that he was very stressed about that. It was a strong concern for him. It's something that weighed heavily on his mind. So that's why I'm not saying it definitely didn't happen. It probably did happen. I'm just saying you don't know for sure. And I'm not going to believe otherwise for sure until I hear it from his family. Now, hearing it from his family means I don't hear from a guy who said his mom said this. I mean, literally hear it from his family in some form or fashion. Now, let me give you a specific example of why you don't want to spout off about things until you know for sure. Most of you who are saying these things about this scenario on the internet tend to be right-wingers or lean politically right? What happened very recently regarding Jussie Smollett? If you forgot, let me refresh your memory. Jussie Smollett was an actor who lied and made up a story about getting beaten up by 2 MAGA Trump supporters. He completely made it up. And as soon as he said this publicly, what happened? All these left-wing pundits and all these stupid left-wing celebrities who didn't know immediately came to his defense and said, oh my God, what a terrible thing. I stand with him. What a great, courageous guy. How horrible these Trump supporters are, right? You saw that over and over and over again. And when it finally came out that the entire thing was a lie, these people all looked like idiots, didn't they? And many of you who are now going around the internet screaming and ranting about how Tom ended his own life because of a Newsweek article actually attacked those stupid left-wingers for supporting Jussie Smollett when they didn't know. That's why when these scenarios occur, you need to calm down, take a deep breath, turn on your brain, and get factual and objective before you type on your little keyboards. Make sure you know for sure before you spout off. Now, once you know for sure, you can spout off all you want. I mean, holy shit. I've been spouting off about all kinds of shit for 15 years, but I spout off about facts, about things like the Western world collapsing, about things regarding the Western world collapsing, about things about how it's better to own your own business than have a job, about long-term monogamy not working, and so on and so on and so forth. These are not my opinions. These are facts that I can verify 10,000 different ways. Make sense? Okay. Now, regarding some stuff between me and Tom, and this is where this is going to get a little weird, difficult. This gets a little hard. I stay out of internet drama, and those of you who know me a long time, you know I do this. When, such and such pickup artist attacks another pickup artist, or such and such red pill guy or manosphere guy attacks another manosphere guy, I stay out of it. Usually I don't take sides at all because usually both sides are idiots in my experience. But even when one side is right, one side is wrong, I still stay out of it because generally speaking, the vast majority of the time, the guys doing this are younger guys. And your guys tend to be more emotional. These are guys in their 20s or 30s. And I'm 50, or at least I will be in a few months. And I have to be the adult in the room. And I don't want to get involved in all the childishness of, he said this and I don't like him now. And, he said that. Even if someone attacks me, which doesn't happen very often, but it has happened. If someone attacks me, I don't immediately turn around and go public and say, well, this person's a fucking prick, because I don't care. Plus, I like haters. Haters make me money. So I stay out of these things. And but that doesn't mean that behind the scenes and in private, I support people and I back people up privately, at least people who I like, and that's kind of a small list, but I do that. And in terms of Tom, this is something that happened, and it puts a different context on his death, and it's just, you'll find out when I'm done describing this why this bothers me so much. About, I don't remember the exact timing on this. I would say 2 years ago, maybe 2.5 years ago. Tom and I were having a discussion, had a few discussions actually, and he was talking about how he was stressed out about the negative press and how he had to keep taking down his websites and then bringing them back up and taking them down, and how that was stressful for him. And he was also talking about how he was getting kind of tired of being a pickup dude, and he was getting into the age where he wanted what I had. He wanted to find a special person and settle down. And as a matter of fact, one of the reasons he wanted to talk to me is because I have a skill set in that area, and he wanted kind of what I have with Pink Firefly. And that's what he was talking about at his side of the table. On my side of the table, around the same period of time, even before that, and I actually mentioned this publicly a few times, those of you who have been following me a while, you'll know this, I wanted to have a day game wing of Alpha Male 2.0. I do not teach day game. I do not do day game. I did day game once for about 5-6 months, way back in 2009. So what, 13, 14 years ago? A hell of a long time ago. And I did make it work somewhat. Matter of fact, one of the best looking women I had sex with back in that period of time was an 18-year-old going off to ASU, a cute blonde 18-year-old that I met at a sunglasses store at a mall. So I made it work, and I was, I got laid, but I found that the work to results ratio was way off, and I got much better results for much less time spent using online dating. And so that's why I leaned into that. And that's where Black Dragon came from. However, day game is a valid way of meeting women. And I've been saying that for years. And so I have always wanted someone in the Alpha Male 2.0 brand or a wing of the Alpha Male 2.0 brand that taught day game. And this would not be me. I can't teach you what I have not personally done. That's one of my strong policies in terms of this business. I will never teach you anything that I haven't personally done myself. And so I needed someone who was good at this to be kind of inside the Alpha Male 2.0 brand. This is something I was thinking about even before I even met Tom. Well, I knew of Tom, but even before I actually met Tom and knew Tom personally, it's something I always wanted. And so I had this need, and Tom was expressing these problems. And so about 2.5 years ago, I offered to buy Tom's entire company. So I offered to buy out Tom and to purchase the Tom Torrero brand and the Black Sheep Bandit brand, purchase all of his products, all of his services, purchase his branding, purchase all that, bring it into the Alpha Male 2.0 kind of realm. And then I would be able to scale that business because I have a staff of 17 people. Tom does not have a staff that large. But I have some financial resources that Tom didn't have. And so I knew even if I gave him a lot of money, and I was prepared to do so, this was a serious offer. I actually talked to my accountant. We set aside the money. And I knew that regardless of how much money I ended up paying him, he would do well and I would do well. Be a absolute win-win. Then he could go off and stop worrying about this day game stuff and go be a ski instructor. He didn't want to be a ski instructor back then. But he could go off and do something else. He could settle down. He would remove all the stress of these problems and get a big hunk of money, either a lump sum or a payout over 3 or 4 years. I kind of threw out several different scenarios. By the way, we never got down to talking about specific numbers, at least not super specific numbers. And the reason for that is because he turned me down. He said no to my offer. And there's a very specific reason he said no to my offer. I'm not going to state what that reason was because I think it's personal to him. I did not agree with this reason. I thought this reason was bullshit. And I told him that at the time. It was bullshit. It's wrong. I could show him on a calculator how it doesn't make any sense, but that was his reason. And I couldn't convince him otherwise. And so it did not happen. He carried on and I carried on. And the tragedy of this is that although you never know for sure, if he did end his own life and if this negative press and publicity and backlash was the key reason behind it, then had Tom said yes to my offer back then, he would still be here with us today. He would still be here. He wouldn't have ended his life, assuming he did that, and I don't know. So the last, 2 weeks or so, last week or so, I've been running this through my mind about, because when this kind of thing happens, you start blaming yourself. So I started thinking things like, well, maybe I didn't formulate the offer right. And if I had formulated the offer this way, Tom would have said yes. Or maybe I wasn't aggressive enough with Tom. And if I was more aggressive and kicked his ass a little bit, he would have said yes. And you can't do that because you can't second guess yourself. There's probably nothing I could have done, even if I had offered him, 10x the money I was offering. It still bugs me though. And for the rest of my life now, I'm going to have this in the back of my head that had Tom said yes and let me give him a big mountain of money, and it was a big mountain of money, to buy his business out so he wouldn't be part of this world anymore, he would still be around today. Because one of the things I would have done is gone through his product line and removed the parts that may be problematic with left-wingers. And he wouldn't have been involved in that world anymore, although that's not 100% true. What he would have had to do is give me about maybe 3 or 4 hours a month of his time just for a while for during the transition. That's it. But by now he wouldn't need to do anything, and he would be, he'd be off being a ski instructor or something. He would have been just fine. So there you go. Not much more I can say about that. It's just something I'm going to carry with me for the rest of my life now. That thought that, man, if he had just said yes, or if I had said it differently, or he probably would still be here with us today. Way it goes. Sometimes things just happen no matter what, and you have to accept them. Part of life is you have to accept reality, and the reality is that he's not here anymore. So there you go. Now, let's discuss that article and other articles and other problems that the press threw at Tom. The article, the Newsweek article, and I'm not going to post a link to it because I don't want to give it more traffic. If you want to Google it, you can. The Newsweek article that was published about Tom Torrero last November. That article, as I've been saying for 10 years plus, is the norm. Yes, it was written by a feminist. Yes, it was written by someone who's very left-wing. But as I've been saying for a long fucking time, the United States is a left-wing country. Europe has always been left-wing. The entire Western world, during its state of collapse, which is collapsing right now, is left-wing and becomes more left-wing every year, no matter who you vote for. And so no one should be surprised that articles like this were written about Tom, even though Tom did nothing wrong and didn't lie and didn't do anything illegal. This is the norm. This is the world in which we live in now, and there is no stopping this. You can scream all you want on the fucking internet. You can vote for whomever you want. You can protest however much you like. I've been saying this to right-wingers, conservatives, anti-SJW guys for 10 plus years. There is no way you can fix this. That's how the world is. Part of this reason is your fault, because for the last 35 years, I haven't seen you right-wingers vote for small government libertarians or small government paleo conservatives. No, I've seen you guys vote for people like Donald Trump, Mitt Romney, John McCain, George W. Bush, guys who are not only for big government, but hyper big government. Anyway, topic another time. I don't want to get on a rant. I've discussed this a lot before. But that is exactly why I have not posted video or photographs or audio of me and or with women I've had sex with. Over the course of my, public career giving dating advice, there has always been a percentage of the audience, and thankfully it's a small percentage, about 2 or 3% of the audience, that gets upset with me and says, well, I can't trust a word you say because you don't show video. I can't trust a word you say because you haven't shown any photographs of any girls you fucked. So you can just be making all this up. About 2 or 3 years ago, I wrote an entire article addressing this. It's called If You Think I'm a Liar. It is still at my blog. You could Google it or go to alphamale20.com and read it there. And the gist summary of that article, I talk a lot in that article, but the summary of that article is, yes, the reason I can't do that is because I don't want to incur tens of thousands of dollars in legal fees and have my business threatened because, like you, like me, like Tom, we live in a collapsing, psychotic, left-wing, litigious society. And so I did not want to be exposed legally that way. And guess what? Guess what happened to Tom last year? He had to spend tens of thousands of dollars in legal bills fighting off these exact problems because he did provide video, audio, and photographs, or what have you, of women he had sex with, or women he hit on, or what have you. There you go, a picture-perfect example of what happens when you do this. And so in the future, whenever someone says, well, why don't you post pictures of all the girls you've photographed? All I have to say is 2 words, Tom Torrero. If, I don't know if he did, but if he ended his own life, and if he ended his own life because of these problems, because of these legal issues and this backlash, that is a picture-perfect example of why I have not done this. So I made the decision many years ago, well, far before I even knew who Tom was. I'm going to do it Tom, because Tom is not the only guy who's gotten in trouble about these kinds of things in the pickup artist, red pill, manosphere world. Has he? He's not the only one. Okay, now he's one of the few guys who did nothing wrong, because some other guys did do things wrong. Let's not talk about that. But he's not the only one, right? Right. I saw that years before Tom. And so I made that decision. I would rather piss off 2 or 3% of the audience who are going to call me a liar and think I'm making all this up, then put myself at risk for tens of thousands of dollars in legal fees, plus various other problems regarding losing my access to PayPal and Stripe and Kajabi and Kartra, all of which are things that happen to Tom and people like Roosh and 6 or 7 or 8, 9, 10 other guys I could name. I don't want any of those problems. So I'd rather take the distrust and in some cases hate of a small percentage of the audience to avoid these problems. By the way, I made an offer in that article to those guys who think I'm a liar because I don't provide photos or photographic evidence or audio or, by the way, these are all things I have. Just so you know, I have photos, I have audio, I have video, all of which recorded with permission, of course. I have all that stuff. You will never see it. And even if you give me money, you will never see it. Okay, because again, I don't want these problems. But anyway, I made an offer, and I will restate the offer here for the record. If you want me to publish photographs, audio, video of women I've had sex with, not women I've hit on, women I've actually had sex with, that's fine. You need to email me at theonlyblackdragon@gmail.com. We will put you in touch with my attorneys. We will set up an escrow account where you will deposit a 5-figure amount. I would guess $20,000, $30,000. I'm not sure the exact number. That's up to my attorneys. You will put that money in that escrow account. You won't lose the money. It'll just stay there. And once I know that money is in that escrow account, that will be the Caleb Legal Defense Fund in case he gets sued or gets negative press. And once I see that money is there in that escrow account, I will immediately post 20 pictures, 20 photographs of women I've had sex with that were not sugar daddy, that I never gave a dime to. 20, plus some other stuff. I will do that immediately. Now, here's the problem. Will anyone do that? No. And if I then get sued or have legal problems or problems with the press that cost me a lot of money, either lost business or legal fees, I can just draw upon that escrow account and we're good to go. Perfectly fine. Now, here's the issue. No one's going to do that, are they? Because you don't want to take that risk. You don't want to take the risk of losing $20,000 or $30,000 or $40,000. Exactly. Neither do I. It's fascinating the number of people out there in the audience who expect people like me and Tom and various other public figures to take risks, to take legal risks that you would never take. I know that the vast majority of the men who are complaining that I don't show pictures or video or whatever of women I've had sex with would themselves never do that themselves. So if you wouldn't do it, why the fuck would I do it? You now know you have a very clear example of what happens when guys do this. Tom is no longer here with us. And it's possible, we don't know, that the reason he is no longer with us, or a contributing factor, or a strong contributing factor to why he's no longer with us, is because he did that. He did provide evidence. I'm not going to do that. I don't want those kinds of problems. And if that means 2 or 3% of you think I'm a liar, that's fine. As I've said many times, I make plenty of money. I have multiple businesses, multiple income streams. I'm okay. I will survive the winter. It's all right. I don't need your money. Matter of fact, we're going to talk about that in a few minutes, about what we can learn from what happened with Tom. Now, I'm going to respond to a few things that I have seen guys say on the internet about this. And these are things that I've seen over and over and over again, not just 1 or 2 guys, but many, many guys, and go through each one. The first one I'm seeing, a lot of guys are saying, Tom should have sued these bastards for libel. He should have sued them and drove, Newsweek into bankruptcy. He should have sued these feminists and sued that feminist and sued and libel and sued and okay. Whenever I see that stuff, I am looking at someone, whenever I see a comment like this, I am looking at someone who is completely ignorant of the US and European legal system. You have no idea how much it costs to sue someone for libel, particularly in Tom's case, when he was a UK citizen living in Colombia and Newsweek is an American corporation, which means now you're talking about an international lawsuit, which is even more expensive. It is absolutely ridiculously expensive, not 5 figures, possibly 6 figures, to go after someone and sue them for libel, number one. Number two, it is damn near impossible, even if you do spend the money, to prove libel. It is very, very, very difficult. And so all these guys saying, well, why didn't Tom just sue them for libel? You have no idea what the hell you're talking about. Tom did not have that kind of money as far as I know. I mean, I could be wrong, but as far as I know, he did not have that kind of money, nor would he be stupid enough to spend that kind of money and go through that much pain for such a low odds of success. So anytime you see anyone say we should sue them for libel, she should be sued for libel, we should bankrupt these people, These people are just talking out of their asses. These are usually young guys who don't know what it means to actually sue someone, especially a big corporation like Newsweek or The Guardian or other people who attacked Tom over the years. It's just ridiculous. Again, you need to stop and think through the facts before you type, before your fingers fly on that keyboard. It is such a problem with the internet that people just shoot their mouths off without stopping and thinking first. This is why back when I used to post on forums many years ago, on a regular basis, you'd have guys who would get mad and say something on a forum, and then within 5 minutes, 10 minutes, an hour or two, they go, oh shit, that sounds insane, I'm wrong, and then go back and delete their post. Whereas I have literally never deleted a comment or a post I post on any website in my entire life. Why is that? Because before I type, I stop and I think. Am I coming at this rationally, objectively, and based on fact, or am I just angry and blowing smoke out my own ass? More of you need to do that. The next thing I've heard people say, a few people say, is he ended his own life. First of all, you don't know. For Christ's sake, you don't know. But I covered that already. But irrelevant of that, guys who say he ended his own life, that was a pussy move, or that was a beta male move, or an alpha male would never end his own life. An alpha male would fight and solve these problems. And okay, first of all, you don't know. Okay, you don't fucking know. But let's say he did. Let's assume for a minute that you are right and that he did do that. If he indeed ended his own life, you don't know if there were extraneous circumstances. I know for a fact, my dad is a psychologist. He's told me some of the stats on this. Many people who end their own lives do so while they're drunk. So can you, if you're drunk, you're not really knowing what you're doing. So if you're depressed and then you add alcohol into the mix, okay, that could have been a factor. I have no idea. I'm speculating, and I'm not saying he was drunk. I don't know, although it was around New Year's Eve, so it's not inconceivable. Again, you don't know the circumstances around how he died. Now, let's say that he did indeed end his own life on purpose. No drugs or alcohol were involved. It was a deliberate act on his part. If, and that's a big if all of that is true, I agree with you. Yes. I agree that there were other things he could have done. I would not have done that. The concept of ending my own life is an alien concept to me. I am the opposite. I want to live as long as I can and keep this party going for as long as I can. So I don't relate to that at all, including the guys who follow this model. There's a word for it where you live however you want, you smoke and you do drugs and you have sex without condoms and you eat whatever you want and you plan on purposely killing yourself when you're 60. It's a lifestyle model. I don't disagree with that. Fine if you want to do that. But even that doesn't make any sense to me. I'd rather live a long, long, long time. I do not want to die. No. So I agree. I also agree that having someone in the pickup artist, red pill, manosphere community do this doesn't make the rest of us look very good. You're right. It's if all those things are true, I tend to agree with you. That doesn't change my feelings in terms of how I feel about Tom. I love Tom, loved Tom, still love Tom. I wish he was here. And yeah, that's really it. But again, you don't know. Something else, I've gotten a few emails from some of you and a few DMs on this. Many people are concerned that now that he is gone, all of his content and material will be inaccessible, or a lot of it will be inaccessible because he's gone. Some of you have asked me, hey, Caleb, what will happen if you die? Will we lose all of your content? I've already talked about this in past articles, my blogs. I'm happy to repeat that here again today. I back up literally everything I do. I don't trust YouTube. I don't trust Kartra or Kajabi. I don't trust WordPress. I don't trust any platform these days, again, because I know I live in a collapsing left-wing world. And so I don't trust any of these platforms. So yes, I have backup copies of 100% of all my content, all my articles, comments, videos, courses, ebooks, everything hosted anywhere. I have offline copies of these things. And in most cases, I have online copies of these things. I'm going to actually improve that this year, getting a complete online copy and a complete offline copy. I do have a complete offline copy. I know what happened to Stefan Molyneux when YouTube pressed a button and deleted 10 years of his videos that he could never get back ever again. I saw that, yes. I saw what happened to Chateau Hertiste, where WordPress.com pressed a button and deleted 15 years of articles from his blog. Yes, I am very aware these things happen. I have watched very carefully these things happen. And so I have made sure that these things aren't going to happen to me. So rest assured, no matter what happens to me, and by the way, I'm not going anywhere. Okay, I'm not ending my own life. I'm going to live a long time. I'm a healthy guy, despite my body fat percentage. I just got back my blood test results when I went over with my doctor. I am very, very, very healthy, especially considering the chaotic year I had in 2021 with all my Five Flags travel and things like that. So I'm a healthy guy. I'm not going anywhere. But if I get hit by a bus or die in a plane crash, 2% rule, don't worry. All my stuff is set up. And I also have a staff, a reasonably large staff of people who know what to do, more or less, if and when that occurs. Plus, I have a wife who knows what to do if and when those things occur. So don't worry about it. I'm covered. I'm prepared for these things. I always am, because I take the precautions most people don't take, because I don't trust these platforms. I really never have, but now I really don't. Now, what can we learn from this? Because I promise you, if Tom was sitting next to me, he would want you to learn from this experience. What can we learn from this? Instead of being sad, or in your cases, mad, what can we learn from what happened here? Well, this ties in very nicely with Sovereign CEO and Alpha Male 2.0 business models. What have I been saying for a billion years in terms of the Alpha 2.0 business model? 2 to 4 small companies you build up over time that are in different industries, different niches, selling different things. And each of these companies have multiple income streams. So that way, if any one company goes under for whatever reason, you get attacked by the press, you get sued, laws change, what have you. You're pissed off, but you're okay. You're still able to pay your bills. You're still able to carry on with your life. I have 3 companies. I have approximately 17 income streams. I did that on purpose because I learned from 2008 what happens when you rely on one source of income. When you rely on one source of income, you are not free and you are exposed to too many problems. Again, we are living in a collapsing civilization. And when you live in a collapsing civilization, you cannot rely on one source of income. And as much as I love Tom, Tom had one source of income. Okay, he had his day game business, and that was it. He didn't have any other businesses. He didn't have any other real income streams. That was his life, and that was the way he made his money and paid his bills. And so when that one income stream was threatened, yeah, he had some serious problems. You don't want to be in that position. What you want to do, and I've been saying this now for 10 plus years, what you want to do is set up your own location independent business, get it up to a point where it's making a certain amount of income, then put it on maintenance mode, then set up the second company. And not big companies, not Elon Musk companies, little companies, all of which you can run with your laptop. That's what I do, okay? The second company, get that built up. The second company in a completely different industry that has nothing whatsoever to do with the first company, and then get that up to a certain point, put that on maintenance mode. Then if you want, you can set up a third company or go back and optimize the first company. I've talked about this a lot in my blogs. I've talked a lot about this in my online courses, my business courses. And then what you want to do in each business, you want to have multiple streams of income spinning off those companies. So that way, if any single source of income is threatened, or vanishes through no fault of your own, you're pissed off, but you're okay. If any one of my businesses went under tomorrow morning, it just completely vanished off the face of the earth for whatever reason, I would be upset. Okay, I'll be honest with you, I'll be pissed off. I would not be very happy. I'd be complaining a lot, but I'd be okay. My life would continue. I'd be able to pay my bills. I'd be able to maintain my lifestyle. Everything would be fine. Now, my wife might be a little pissed off because her spending money would drop, but whatever. That's fine. That's her fucking problem. If she doesn't like it, she can divorce me and get nothing. OLTR marriage. But my point is, I have the protection of multiple businesses and multiple income streams. Tom did not. You don't want to be like that. And by the way, those of you who have jobs, how many sources of income do you have if you have a job? 1. Okay? So that's the worst case scenario. You guys are the worst off. You guys with fucking jobs. You guys who already have your own business. If you have one business selling one thing to one market, and that's all you've got, that's one income stream. In the modern era now, in the 2020s, if I had one business selling one thing or a very small product line to one type of industry or one type of niche, I would not sleep very well at night because I have seen what happens many, many times, not just Tom. I'm a business consultant. I've worked with hundreds of companies over the last 25 years. I've seen a lot of companies and a lot of formerly successful business owners get into really big trouble when their one business with one income stream was threatened through reasons that usually were not even their fault. Sometimes it was their fault, but sometimes it wasn't. You don't want to be in that scenario. Okay? That's what we can learn from Tom. And I say none of this to disparage Tom. I say none of this. If Tom was sitting next to me right now, he would be nodding his head and agreeing with everything I'm saying because Tom and I discussed this. So I know he agrees with what I'm saying to you right now. Multiple income streams, multiple businesses. Same thing with women. You don't want just one woman. Long-term monogamy doesn't work. Multiple women, multiple businesses, multiple income streams. If you're following 5 flags, sovereign CEO, multiple countries, right? Multiple. The more you have multiple things in your life, the safer you will be and the freer you will be. Okay, well, that's it. That was a lot to get off my chest. I feel a little better now. A little. I don't know. Maybe not. I hope this is the last time ever for the rest of my life that I have a friend die before me. I know it won't be. And death is part of life, and you just have to move on. But please think about what I said in this video about focusing on objectivity and facts instead of emotional reactions. Have a good one. See you next video. Bye.